Today is the first day of the holy month of Ramzan. People took to fasting and observance of religious austerity. We wish everyone finer Ramadan wishes. Once again, welcome to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with the main points in a nutshell. Afghan election called a success despite attacks. WHO issues new guidelines on swine flu. The Lockerbie bomber released. Jubilant Libya incurs the wrath of the US and UK. Trade link to bombers released. Libyan leader Gadhaffi's son reveals. CIA said to use outsiders to put bombs on drones. DMK-led alliance sweeps Tamil Nadu by-elections. Now the news in detail. Afghan election called a success despite attacks. Scattered rocket attacks and Taliban intimidation suppressed turnout in Afghanistan's president election on Thursday. But enough voters cast ballots that Afghan officials said they had thwarted efforts by the insurgents to derail the vote. The election is the second in the nearly 8 years since an American-led invasion ousted the Taliban. But the security situation in the country has deteriorated so sharply and the credibility of the Afghan leadership has sunk so low that the ability of the government to hold the election at all was in doubt. American officials were quick to declare the poll a success, worth expanding commitment of troops and money to an increasingly unpopular and corruption-plagued government in Afghanistan. But it was still too soon to say how many Afghans actually cast votes, leaving questions about whether the low turnout would affect the legitimacy of the vote, skew the results, and resolve multiple claims of fraud. Early accounts put the total far below the 70% who cast votes in the 2004 election. In some parts of the heavily embattled South, only a trickle of men and almost no women defied Taliban threats to bomb polling stations and cut off fingers stained with indelible ink used by election monitors. In Kabul, the Afghan police fought a gun battle with the 3 men who took over a house overlooking police headquarters in Karth-e-Nau district of the capital, killing 2 of them and capturing 1, a police official said. At the scene, as bystanders applauded the officers who had fought the insurgents. The men were suspected of being suicide attackers sent by Taliban. CIA said to use outsiders to bombs on drones. From a secret division at its North Carolina headquarters, the company formerly known as Backwaters has assumed a role in Washington's most important counter-terrorism program. The use of remotely piloted drones to kill Al-Qaeda's leaders, according to government officials and current and former employees. The division operations are carried out at hidden bases in Pakistan and Afghanistan, where the company's contractors assemble and load Hellfire missiles and 500-pound laser-guided bombs on remotely piloted Predator aircraft, work previously performed by employees of the Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. They also provide security at the covert bases, the official said, a private participation even in the war front. The role of the company in the Predator program highlights the degree to which CIA now depends outside contractors to perform some of the agency's most important assignments. And it illustrates the resilience of Blackwater, now known as Z Services. Through most people in and outside the company still refer to it as Blackwater, it has grown through government work even as it attracted criticism and allegations of brutality in Iraq. Perhaps we Indians and the socialists especially will be frowning at this kind of an action of a government organization like CIA, that too in the war front. Anger at Lockerbie bomber welcome. Britain and the US have strongly condemned the jubilant welcome given to Libya to the man convicted of the bombing of a US plane over Lockerbie. British Foreign Secretary David Miliband described the scenes as deeply distressing. Crowds greeted Abdelaziz Ali Megrahi of the plane in Tripoli after he was freed from a Scottish prison on compassionate grounds. Many relatives of the victims of 1988 bombing are angry at this release. Most of the 270 people who died when Pan Am Flight 103 blew up over the Scottish town of Lockerbie were Americans. US President Barack Obama said Megrahi's release 8 years into his life sentence was a mistake. He said his administration had told the Libyan government that Megrahi, who has terminal cancer, should not receive a hero's welcome back home and should be placed under house arrest for certain. Megrahi was convicted of murder in January 2001 at a trial held under Scottish law in the Netherlands, but has always denied being behind the bombing. Scottish Justice Secretary Kenny MacAskill announced a release order on Thursday morning, saying the prisoner probably had about 3 months to live because he is terminally ill. Trade link to bomber's release. The release of the Lockerbie bomber was tied to trade deals between Libya and United States and UK, reports quote the son of Libyan leader Colonel Gadhaffi. Saif al-Islam told Libyan TV the cases was raising during talks over the oil and gas, FB News reported. The UK Foreign Office has strongly denied the claims. Scotland's government freed terminally ill Abdelaziz Ali al-Megrahi, 57, on compassionate grounds on last Thursday. Megrahi was later welcomed in Libyan capital Tripoli by Colonel Gadhaffi himself. In an interview with The Times, Megrahi said he intended to present new evidence proving his innocence. The man convicted of killing 270 people aboard a transatlantic airliner in 1988 said he would present the evidence through lawyers in Scotland and asked the British and Scottish communities to be the jury. Libya warned over Lockerbie man. The US and the UK have reacted angrily to the welcome given in Libya to the Lockerbie bomber freed from prison on compassionate grounds. In the US, President Obama said the sight of Abdelaziz al-Megrahi being greeted like a hero by a jubilant crowd in Tripoli was highly objectionable. UK Foreign Secretary David Miliband said Libya would face new scrutiny on these grounds. Indian envoys to brainstorm next week. Over 100 heads of Indian missions, HOMs, abroad will meet here in Delhi for 5 days from Monday to imbibe directions by senior ministers and officials on the new government's major foreign policy objectives. A similar conference was held in December last week, where it was decided to make this an annual event. This annual interaction between the government and its ambassadors will help in ensuring that the envoys are well equipped to shoulder the complex responsibilities required to fulfill their responsibilities in a rapidly changing global environment, said a Foreign Office statement announcing the institutionalization of conferences on an annual basis.